Flight boss, bitch, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And I wanted to do a little quick video real quick before I go live tonight about the ancient Egypt hieroglyphics. Because there's a big discussion right now about have these things been deciphered or not. And you have a bunch of people coming up with their ideas about what things mean and putting terms and meanings behind these things without even being aware that their whole mind frame and concept and outlook about it is wrong, is in the wrong space. And therefore, that's backed and supported by some Greek things. So before we even get into any type of discussions about the Rosetta Stone and the three ways of looking at it as far as something being demonic, hierarchies of it, and or the Greek terms for it and things of that nature, you need to understand what kind of situation we are in. We are not in a situation where we are going back trying to decipher an old civilization's language. We're in a situation where we're going back, and whatever this old civilization was doing, this is what we're taking to create our language. You see what I'm saying? This is what the ideas and concepts and the conclusions that humanity is coming to, looking at these old hieroglyphics, is how they come to the conclusion of how to structure their language. Not the other way around. Not that we have a language and we're going back to decipher a language. Because what you need to understand is this wasn't even a language. This is almost like, it's like scheduling. Same way we map out the months and the years, they was mapping out the days and the weeks. So this was like a scheduling system. So you need to understand the concept of Rosetta Stone or men deciphering a certain language or things of that nature. That is not the case. What it is man utilizing these old hieroglyphics, shapes and forms to correlate a language. You see what I'm saying? So don't ever get it twisted. See, the whole mind frame is twisted. So for the most part, here's where you start to get into concepts. When you start to think you're deciphering the hieroglyphics, you will start to take a sign or a symbol, right? And then you will have a few ways that you could look at it, right? You could look at it as far as it being a meaning, a sound, or a certain circumstance. You see what I'm saying? Now, for the most part, here's the thing. They'd take the drawing of the bird from the hieroglyphic, right? And then they'd take the bird and then create like they was speaking in a language. So this is almost like, say this whole civilization is gone, right? That's almost like a whole new civilization coming here, visiting this site, right? And then they looking at a building. Now, a building got many different structures, right? You got signs on the building, symbols, you got the structures of the bricks, you got windows, the lining of the windows, and you might have certain words and things of that nature. Now, a whole civilization will come back, and then that's them trying to make a whole language out of all that. And us being in this civilization now know that each brick, layer by layer, was just the structure that we use to build something. That's not necessarily a language in the form of us trying to create a sound off of it. So the moment that this new civilization would come here, they'd create a sound off of our brick structure and try to say this was a piece of our language. You get what I'm saying? So you have to understand there's no such thing as trying to go back and decipher a language, because 9 times out of 10, what you deciphering, what you think to be a language, 9 times out of 10 wasn't even a language. It was a scheduling system. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Or a different form of language, if you want to call it like that. But not a form of language where you could kind of verbally communicate. You don't even know their verbally communications and terms and conditions and their meanings and reasonings behind their words and things of that nature. So before you even start to get into that, that what created the Rosetta Stone, aka man trying to construct a language by deciphering what an old civilization was doing as far as their handwritings or drawings. See what I'm saying? When we say handwritings or drawings, that doesn't necessarily mean a language. You got kids who draw in school every day. Then that doesn't necessarily mean that they're drawing on their paper some language. They might be drawing something out of their imagination. Now, when you got elders doing this type of particular energy, for the most part, they're starting to calculate the days and the week. So this is how they start to calculate their clocks and things of that nature. So instead of looking at the bird as the bird being a sound and now the bird represents A, no, that's not how they was correlating it. The bird represents what comes first. So for the most part, when the sun rises in the morning, the first thing they was hearing is birds chirping. Now, I don't want to get into a whole big discussion saying, well, how you know back then the birds was chirping early in the morning? So you get a whole bunch of people in trying to argue with little stupid shit. But for the most part, let's stay real life, right? For the most part, when the sun rises in anybody's area in that particular moment, during that geographical location, right? That's when 9 times out of 10, the birds flock or the birds rise. That's the symbol. Now, when you're looking in the sky, the lower vessels and the shapes and forms that's lower into the atmosphere that you're close to as far as you being a human or whatever like that, right? You're going to look at this as being the first time of the day. So drawing a bird correlates the first time of the day, and this is why sometimes they was writing from right to left and things of that nature to let you know that's what's rising. When birds fly, rise. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, it's not correlating. Nobody told man or woman to make a Rosetta Stone. See, you want to go and do your research on a Rosetta Stone and think you got some more type of scholarship than other people without even understanding it from a psychological point of view. You see what I'm saying? First understand spirituality. Then understand things from a psychological point of view. Then you'll be able to spiritually travel back to these places to be able to understand what's actually going on. Now, based upon the scheduling system, this is why we're trying to turn something into a language and say it has 1,000 characters. No, each character represents a motherfucker piece or time of the day. Not a character as A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, not that kind of character. See what I'm saying? That's why you can have in Egypt those hieroglyphics to have 1,000 characters, but when y'all try to correlate y'all language with only 26 letters. You see what I'm saying? So then you're trying to figure out what the fuck they was doing back then, because your whole mind frame of looking at it is you think you're deciphering a language, where half of that shit ain't a language. Half of that shit was their drawings of scheduling times of the day. You can't even really technically make a language without ever utilizing vowels. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of their drawings and shit on their walls has nothing to do with vowels. See what I'm saying? Yeah, you gotta understand this from a psychological point of view before you dive into anything. You know what I'm saying? Think you know something when you really don't know nothing. You just know another man or woman's philosophical point of view of something, aka their space and their positioning of an object. So it's always going to be a subjective point of view, whether that subjective point of view is a large vibration or a small vibration, whether it got a lot of attention to it or not of a lot of attention to it, based upon a spirit that's signing their signature behind that energy and what kind of position that they hold at the moment. Do a lot of people care about them or not, based upon what their ideas and feelings and emotions and chakras that they push out? You see what I'm saying? But you need to understand this. This was how they pieced out and scheduled the day. So for the most part, you could kind of look at the 1,000 characters of the Egyptian hieroglyphic as your motherfucking clock. And each second on your motherfucking clock, each second and things of that, we just figured out more simpler signs and symbols to correlate the times of the day. You see what I'm saying? So based upon them calculating the days and the week, this helped them understand structure a lot better than y'all fuck motherfuckers. Because for the most part, you could kind of look at it like this, right? Y'all got a cell phone now. You wouldn't even know what to do without a cell phone. But there was one point in time when motherfucker, you could remember everybody's number from the top of your motherfucking head. Because there wasn't no cell phone. So therefore, right, your structuring when it comes to your mental abilities was a lot stronger. So your Thoth, your Tahuti's, your Mercury's, your Hermes, whatever the fuck you want to call it, your ability to create that tethering cord here to have a mentality and a structure system was that much more strengthened during these times. So even though the external things that we was manifesting may have been a lot more primitive, our mental abilities was a lot more stronger. And once you start to tap into your mental abilities, those are your light bodies. And where are those maintaining that right now? In the yin realm. And where do everything derives from in the external realm in the first place? The yin realm. So motherfucker, if you stronger in the yin realm first anyway, then motherfucker, think about the structures that you're going to be able to create externally. You see what I'm saying? Real shit. So for the most part, that's why I made the example between this is a very, think about it, back then in the civilization, it was more heavy. Now, I just put in a little light example of it, dealing with the phone. You can remember phone numbers, and now you can't even remember nobody's phone number without your goddamn cell phone. So your mental capability is weakened, but I'm explaining it on a smaller vibrational scale. See what I'm saying? But on a larger vibrational scale, this will be like a civilization that lack external means, that lack shelter, But these are the first civilizations that go internal first. Think about, let's bring it back to today's time. Think about when you are in lack of. You think you don't have the attributes, or you think you don't have the right living conditions to do what you need to do. Like your life might be fucked up, might not got the right siblings around you, right friends, right family, parents might have been killed. Like you know what I'm saying? You might not be in the right living conditions and things of that nature. What do that do to a person like you, right? It make you go more within, right? And when you go more within, what happens? As a spirit, you pay more attention to your masculine bodies. You pay more attention to your light bodies instead of your feminine bodies to receive. You pay more attention to what you can actually give off, so you can be used in a certain way. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, you go in. You know what I'm saying? These type of circumstances and situations make you go in. And once you go in and pay more attention to those shapes and forms, right? Those ones develop more strength. And those shapes and forms is what created the outer shapes and forms. You know what I'm saying? Your masculine created the daughters of men, the more denser versions of shit. You know what I'm saying? The light bodies created the more denser bodies, aka to go into. So this dense body right here. So for the most part, what do you think that they was doing back then? They may lack sheltering, but then they goddamn started creating goddamn pyramids and shit based upon their mentality and strength and things of that nature. So this is what people lacking now. You too busy thinking, looking at the clock, instead of going outside looking at the goddamn sky your goddamn self. So therefore, things leave into men and women lost theologies about looking at stars, and now we got religion, and now we got all kind of other excuses of why we got clocks and maintaining time and stuff, other than us being primitive and understanding that our strength and the beginnings of our mentality strengthens when we went outside and did this shit for ourselves and learned how to do this for us. Now you don't even know what time of the day it is without looking at your clock or things of that nature, where it was a time we went straight outside and looked at that shit. Now you got religions and things, and you got everything else making an excuse for your own spirit now. You see what I'm saying? And these are all just shapes and forms of your spiritual creations to get lost again. So listen, like I said, we're gonna break down everything. We're gonna break down Kemet. We're gonna break down Egypt. We're gonna break down Sumerian. We're gonna break down every motherfucking thing. But I need everybody to get a clear perspective of how to look. So I'm gonna be doing a beginning videos of everything. And like, I ain't forget about the eating video either. Like, I'm just setting everybody up so you can have the clear perspective of what you're looking at first. Once you know what you're looking at, now we can start getting deep into it, so you can start seeing like, oh damn, that's why they did that. Other than us keep having thousands of years of us trying to decipher something, and us just keep creating more lostness in some way, shape, or form. See what I'm saying? All the way till you get to the word KM. They made the word KM out of a sign and a symbol, right? And then now Greek gave it a term and a meaning. So now KM got a term and a meaning, and now it means black. So now we're gonna get a whole bunch of people in the Greek theology mind frame of what black mean, and thinking that black means dark, and black don't even mean dark. See what I'm saying? Spiritually, black means being in a space of being unseen in some way, shape, or form. See, this is what you got. Y'all get lost in some Greek shit for real though. But that's another video. Now, when you get black in Greek mind frame, here's where you get the manifestation of the physical representation of what y'all calling black. So now y'all calling things that has a lot of color shade in one of it, right? Shout out to Lex Crystal Goddess, like boogie, but look, things that got a lot of color to it that turn dark. Now y'all calling that black, right? So y'all calling something that has a lot of something added to it black, right? And then now y'all start to add all type of concepts and considerations of anything that's close to that shade black. And now y'all and anybody who's jumping and taking the face value, or wanting to be the martyr, or wanting to be the front page of whatever black mean, you're taking all that energy signature. You're going to receive all the experiences of the energy signature of what black is in general. And for the most part, for you not to be black, you don't want those goddamn problems. But a lot of motherfucker spirits in darker shades of physical fleshly fluids been taking on saying they're black, and been taking on all that energetic frequency vibration of what black actually means. And then when a person who think they're black is experiencing things in their life of opposition or resistance, or things not going their way, or think things there's against them and shit like that, they end up starting to blame things of the external world, when in the first place nobody told you to resonate with that energy state of being, because that's not what it means in the first place. You're lost in a whole viewpoint, almost to the point that you got a whole religious outlook on motherfuckers thinking Kemet mean black. You see what I'm saying? And who taught you that? The Rosetta Stone, right? Listen, man, we gonna get out this shit. We gonna get out this motherfucking shit. Listen, we gonna get out the balloon. I love everybody in this motherfucker. Flight boss, bitch, but this the quick breakdown so you can have a clear understanding of what's actually going on. This was just another day in the time of us learning how to calculate the day. So when you got 1,000 characters and things of that nature, you could kind of correlate that into days and weeks. You see what I'm saying? Don't correlate that into they got 1,000 characters as they got 1,000 letters, like English got 26 letters. Like, see, y'all, whoa, like, whoa. And you need to understand these characters of them, how they calculated a day. This was men in later civilizations looking at these things, or looking at and how they came up with their language, or how to construct things and start to make consonants out of their vowels and things of that nature, and start to be like, okay, that make a specific sound, and this could kind of create a meaning behind how we feel. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother video. Like, before we even get into that, because that ain't even got. Listen, y'all. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn.